Hello, my name is Greg Madison, and this is The Living Process. This is episode 44, and this time my guest is Mia Leijssen, who is returning as a guest. And this time we're talking mostly about her new book, Connecting with Your Essence, and especially sort of what gave rise to the book and her profound experiences of focusing and how they started out kind of being instigated by physical suffering. And when she had a listener who was also going through physical difficulties, that the two of them ended up going very deep in their processing. And Mia describes that, the kind of connecting to a much deeper consciousness, a much more expansive awareness, and the role of nature and kind of recognizing how the processes in nature mirror the processes that she was experiencing through herself or in herself. We also talk a little bit about the difference between the essential self and the historical self. This is all from the book. And at the end, just a tiny bit about process loneliness, which I thought was a very evocative topic. So I really, as always, really enjoyed the conversation with Mia. And you'll see in the notes links to the English and the Dutch versions of the book. And yeah, I'm hoping you'll take a look. I found it really worthwhile reading. So, episode 44 and Mia Leijssen. Okay, welcome back to The Living Process, and it's a delight to have Mia Leijssen back on. Good morning, Mia.
Good morning.
And this time we get to talk about your new book.
Mhm.
It's called Connecting with Your Essence, and I think it's already out in Dutch. Is that right?
Yes, and also in English, it's
Okay.
already available.
It is. Okay,
Yeah,
good. Terrific. So I'll put links so that people can find that.
yeah, yeah.
I've had a chance to have a very quick look at it, and it looks fascinating.
Mhm.
And I have some questions.
Okay. I look forward to your question.
But do you want to say a little bit about maybe even just why you wrote the book? What was the intention or the passion that led to the book?
Well, it was quite a painful experience that was the beginning of the book.
Okay.
Um, in 2018, um, I became severely handicapped, and there was a lot of suffering in that time. And I had the good luck that someone on the focusing platform she asked for a focusing partnership because she had severe cancer and she wanted to have someone in that process as her companionship. And I thought, oh, I would love to have companionship as well in this process. So um, we became focusing partners, both in a quite extreme process of suffering. And that was so helpful
Mhm.
to have that weekly appointment where we could just sit for me, it was also a new stage in how I discovered focusing as so helpful. Um, because before I wasn't used to sit still for a long time. I was a very active person. I still am very active, but that was the whole process of this sickness and this being handicapped. became an invitation um, of sitting in quiet with good companionship.
Hmm.
And it introduced a new depth in my experience. And that was the beginning of a total new stage of what opened up for me. So and then the book became like a new challenge to try to bring this also, the richness I discovered in that process,
Hmm.
to share that. Because I never expected it to be such a rich part of discovering a new reality, I can say.
Hmm.
So that was what was really the beginning of the book, that this whole process of quite a long time of a lot of physical disabilities, and that forced me to find a new way of being.
Hmm. That's really touching. And it's interesting to me that two things. First of all, you didn't say this, so I'm checking with you, but it sounded like there was something really important about having a focusing partner that was going through something maybe that was different in some ways, but that there was a level of suffering that you both shared. Something about you
Yes.
both being in that process was really helpful. So I'm curious about what that is, what difference that makes. And the second thing is that having to deal with that level of suffering led, instead of it being just, oh, this is again my guess, instead of it being constantly at that level of the suffering over and over, it sounds like it opened you up to something even deeper because the book is about something very deep.
Yes. Yeah. My experience was that because we were both in deep suffering with a lot of physical problems,
Hmm.
we both had like um, an awareness of the importance of a presence that doesn't come up with advices, that
Okay.
uh, just being there and in a very open way, and um, both searching how we can relate to this difficult reality.
Hmm.
And what we had in common was a common ground of trusting in the body, despite the physical problems. So for both, it was like a different level of trust as well. Um, a level where you go beyond the first physical sensations,
Hmm.
and in the stillness was also very important. Just to sit together in this stillness, it opened a new world, as if we both could really experience a presence that was healing,
Hmm.
and not not healing on the physical level, because for both the physical level was the same, but the way we could relate to that became totally different.
Yeah.
Um, it became so much. part of the human condition that also suffering can be a path toward more wholeness.
Hmm.
Um, so this huge power of presence, of um, stillness, that was more powerful for me than ever before.
Yeah, that really strikes me as you describe that. I'm thinking, actually, that is so uncommon, especially when someone is obviously suffering from a
Mhm.
physical ailment or condition or illness or something. The response is always, almost always at least, um, to try to help, to make suggestions, to just open up to what the person is experiencing is
Yeah,
incredibly uncommon, I think.
yeah, yeah. And that was for both of us quite a surprise.
Hmm.
Each session was like um, setting us in a kind of wonder about,
Hmm.
oh, arriving in a new level of being as well,
Hmm. Yeah.
where the suffering somewhat disappeared, I can even say.
Well,
Mm.
so it was that experience that opened up the idea of the book.
Yes, yes.
Okay, so I'm curious.
Because
Hmm.
that experience opened a new level of awareness
Hmm.
in myself. And and then the process of awareness continued to expand.
Hmm.
And there came more experiences that are difficult to describe, and nevertheless, they felt so real.
Uh-huh.
Uh,
I'm imagining that you're talking about experiences that um, are focused on a much more expansive context than just the suffering of the present.
no. Yes, and the suffering of the presence became like a doorway to
Okay.
open many levels of suffering as well.
Hmm.
Levels of suffering I wasn't that much aware of before,
Hmm.
like the suffering of my ancestors became so palpable even.
Mm. Wow.
And I could experience a different level of presence as well from people who passed away and interactions with
Hmm.
beings that are no more in this physical form on earth.
Hmm.
In some way it became quite natural, and that was also real for my focusing partner. She also had that experience that it was an opening up to a broader world than what we used to experience as reality.
Yeah, it sounds like strangely the physical suffering opened you up to a world beyond the physical.
Yes, yes, and it's not only the suffering, because if it was only the suffering, I think that would be a very poor process. It was this combination of the stillness,
Mm,
the love also, because that is also that felt also as very palpable that
mhm,
my focusing partner and I, the relationship, and to be clear about that, we didn't know each other before. She wasn't one of my students. She wasn't one of my clients, and that was why she was a perfect focusing partner for me.
mhm,
um, so, and nevertheless, we could find each other very quickly in some I could say attitude, but attitude sounds a little bit too poor to describe
mhm.
it. It's more like an atmosphere that
Yes.
was like what I call also this presence, as if we both embodied totally also that uh, kind of loving presence that in itself is a healing presence. So that was also very important
Yeah.
that energetic field we could set for each other, and that became the energetic field we were in
Hmm.
during our focusing sessions.
Yeah. In fact, as you're describing that, it makes me feel almost like potentially in some ways that was the doorway, that it was the attitude, the environment, the loving, the atmosphere that you brought to the suffering that actually was
Yeah,
so significant.
yes, yes. And of course, I've always known that, and I have
Yeah.
always practiced that.
Hmm.
And yet, being being myself in that state of suffering that made the quality of the loving presence
Hmm.
so much more important.
Hmm. Hmm.
As if before um, I could process many things just with good companionship,
Hmm.
but in this state, I could sense the crucial uh, how crucial it is that it's not just someone as a good companion, but that it is this loving quality that is so present.
Hmm.
And that was also new for me in how that touched me so deeply, or
Yeah.
that opened up so other dimensions, I could say.
Yeah. And I'm imagining that maybe that's one aspect of the importance of the other person also having a physical condition that they needed to attend to was that they immediately could understand the significance of the stillness and just this staying patiently with what was happening.
Yeah, and that's also what the suffering brought me so much was this deep compassion
Hmm.
for human suffering.
Hmm.
And also compassion is a word we easily use in many situations. And yet also that was quite a new discovering for me, the depth of
Hmm.
the compassion that goes together once you have yourself experienced these more extreme
Yeah.
human conditions.
Yeah. Because what you're saying, if you practice focusing or something like focusing, you're familiar with a lot of these attitude
Yes,
stuff, but there's
yes.
something about the extreme that it requires a deepening.
Hmm.
And it sounds almost like that deepening actually took you in some ways to a different place or a different
Yeah,
awareness.
that it stretches the awareness
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
because my normal range of awareness couldn't address that much.
Yes. Yeah.
And that was also, I think, what was so good in our companionship, that we both had these more extreme conditions of suffering, and we developed together in the stretching of our awareness, and in the stretching of appreciating this kind of presence that is only there just as a loving companionship,
Hmm.
a
Hmm.
holding companionship, and someone who can also contain the huge suffering without wanting to give advice, or
Hmm.
without wanting to say you can try this or you can try that. But that's also um, stretching the capacity of containment.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
And there the our capacity of containment became more than personal. And when I say it became more than personal, it's also very grounded. It became also this experience of the earth
Mm-hmm.
being a ground that nurtures us, that carries us. So also the whole nature
Hmm.
with,
Hmm.
with all in it, they all became part of this reality of containment.
Yeah. Let me say that back to you. I think that is so, I mean, I can hear the resonance now with the book a little bit. Um, but that is so interesting. It's like the containment went beyond the personal,
Mm.
but not into some kind of ungrounded whatever.
Yeah,
It went into something deeply grounded. In fact, the ground of the earth and the elements, something so tangible
yeah,
that could hold so much more.
yes.
Yeah.
Tangible that can hold so much more, and also the processes in it
Hmm.
became more vivid. Like, for instance, a tree. Um, it isn't just a tree standing there,
Hmm.
but all the processes that make a
Hmm.
tree
Hmm.
as a tree, the, and crossing with that, with these processes, that became also so healing,
Hmm.
as just how nature mirrors this,
Hmm.
the the way things grow, the way things develop, uh, the way things die, the way things recover.
Hmm.
So that also became so much part of this process of containment, but also living forward.
Yeah. It sounds very enlivening. And it reminds me what you had said a little while ago that it actually changed your way of being.
Yeah.
And I'm imagining what you're saying now, that the change that was happening in your awareness of your own living process, it extended beyond the focusing sessions.
Yes, yes. It like my awareness when I being in nature
Yeah.
became not just seeing things, um, but also that awareness expanded very much,
Hmm.
like experiencing the processes
Hmm.
that are going on in nature.
Hmm.
And that was also very helpful and encouraging.
Yeah.
That this body with its physical disabilities is not just this only thing. This body became really part
Yeah.
of how nature develops, and so that's why all the processes I experienced in nature also with more awareness, and they became so palpable, like,
Hmm.
and my body became much more just part of that whole process of
Hmm.
growing and dying and and so that's why I say it was not just personal, and it was so helpful to experience it as not a highly personal issue, but just an expression of
Yes.
how life develops.
Yeah. 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 That's interesting because I think, uh, from my own experience, that when something kind of goes wrong in the body physically, we can take it personally.
Mhm.
And what you're saying is that it opened you up to the experience of being the same living processes that you see around you in nature,
Yes,
that that's
yes,
what you are in some way.
yes, yes, yes.
Yeah.
And that was helpful. That was healing.
Hmm.
Um,
Hmm.
yeah,
Yeah. The
that
word
that
that comes to me is there's a kind of acceptance almost in that.
also uh, it takes away a judgment. It takes
Yeah.
away specific expectations. Um,
Exactly. Yeah.
uh, it becomes like um, being in the natural development
Hmm.
and and trusting that okay, nature knows what it has to do. And at the same time, um, being aware of what can be helpful support in this.
Uh-huh.
Like that's also what we do in nature. We don't let it just all grow, and we try to find a way how is what's needed in that growth process.
Hmm.
So also that interaction of trusting the natural development and um, being very sensitive to and what does it need
Yeah.
to find its way, or what does it need
Yeah.
to improve the healing, or
Yeah, when you tune into the natural development, then it becomes much clearer what supports that development, the way it wants to develop.
yes, yes,
Well,
yeah. And also when there is a kind of destructive process happening, how to limit that, how to
Hmm.
cure that. So
Hmm.
it's not a naive
Hmm.
vision of, okay, nature is, let it go. It's it's also an interaction in quite active mode at times, and um, giving boundaries when it becomes overwhelming, or when it becomes destructive, or
Hmm. Yeah. It's not that you become passive.
no,
No.
no, yeah, yeah. You become also an active participator.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, I like the metaphor of your garden.
Hmm.
As you're talking, I'm thinking about plants in the garden and that sometimes I need to give them a support or something so that they can continue to grow or feed them or do things that actually support the processes that they imply.
Yeah, and nature is for me not just um, the plants or the animals, also the stones, and
Hmm.
because I because the stones, they mirror this very slowly processes that take so much time to become this specific stone.
Yeah.
And so also these
Hmm.
like the layers in the earth,
Hmm.
that's, I found that also fascinating, because there you can contact the past in its complexity, and it's like a memory
Hmm.
of
Yeah. Wow.
of the history of the past,
Yeah.
so of the history of the earth, and the development. So also these more structured
Hmm.
processes, because they are not so quickly moving as the water does, for instance, or the fire, or the air. So uh, I love to connect to the different processes.
Hmm. Yeah. Again, that's something that you mentioned in the book, are these different elements. I'm wondering if we could talk a little bit about the book. I'm so curious that it came out of this profound experience for you.
Hmm.
Um, the one thing I wanted to hear more about is just you begin the book by making this distinction between the historical and the essential self, I think.
Yes, yeah,
Can you say more about that? I thought
yeah,
that was
yeah,
really interesting.
yeah. The historical self is what we are very clear about when it starts and when it ends. It's the time in this physical body on this earth. So that's what I call the historical self, or what's the most easy to name and to experience.
Hmm.
But I got more and more this experience that there was already, I can't say me, but maybe I can say, there you arrive at this place where language is so problematic. How do you call it? Um, I can call it also the soul, um, but it is this energetic core, um, that has awareness and that brings the body to life, or that we could also call it living forward energy.
Uh-huh.
Um, So that's so much more, and that has access to so much more than just this physical reality.
Mhm.
And there, for me, for instance, dreams, my dreams became an instrument for that. Um, because I had this what I call big dreams. um, in these big dreams, I got confronted with things I couldn't know, um, like a dream of something that happened at another place where I couldn't have any information of. And I had a dream that with a picture of the whole situation. So that's one example that for me was like, oh, there is something in me
Mhm.
that has this access far beyond what we experience as time and space where we live in. So this, you can call it essential self. You can also, like Carl Jung defined it as the self with the capital.
Mhm.
um, this is the self that isn't limited by space or time. And for me, the first beginnings to have access to that were dreams. That that I got information I
Mhm.
couldn't have otherwise than through this
Mhm.
self with the capital.
Mhm.
Um, and the more I took that seriously, the more it became a living reality. Like, uh, like I could sense um, people who passed away
Mhm.
coming in the room and communicating. And this became very real for me because also when I worked with clients, sometimes there came the presence of someone who passed away. I couldn't know anything about that person, and yet I, I, I felt pushed to say something that this person wanted to express. So these are for me some experiences of that self with the capital
Mhm.
that doesn't end um, at the limits of this
Yes.
body.
Yeah.
Uh, that 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 living forward principle.
So let me just ask a little bit. It's I find it very exciting what you're saying. First, the historical self, that is something that's so much more familiar to us.
Of course,
It's things like identity, the chronological self,
yes,
the objective self, almost in some
yeah,
way.
yeah,
Yeah. And then there's this more essential self, this capital S self. And this is what I want to check with you because as I was listening, I was wondering. It sounds like if it's the kind of energetic experience you can tune into, for example, when you're focusing,
yes,
then there can be something specifically personal about it. But it is not confined to that, that it
mhm,
actually also is, I'm wondering, I would say potentially at the same time, it also is this much wider access to something that is more than personal and even more than one's own historical
yes,
chronology. And maybe even, and you didn't say this, but I'm wondering, it maybe even challenges what we think of as the line between living and not being alive.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And I'm very careful to make theories on that
Yeah.
uh, uh, because I have a sense that when you make theory of that, there's always something like,
Hmm.
For me, it's more like deeply respectful trying to address the unknown.
Hmm. Hmm. Yeah, but I guess this is certainly my experience of this kind of thing, and I'm wondering if it's what you're also saying, that it's the openness to it that feels so enlivening. It's like somehow that brings more of the energy of this kind of depth
Yeah,
of being. As soon as you come up with any kind of answer or trying to pin it down, you lose a little bit of its aliveness.
yes. And you risk to focus too
Mhm.
specific to a specific experience.
Yes. Yeah.
I learned a lot about that from my colleagues from the physical science. Um, and that's also why I am so interested in what's going on now with the Hubble telescope and the more advanced telescopes. They look into the universe and they experience things we couldn't think of
Hmm.
and we can't imagine because they are beyond our awareness of time and space. And yet, with these instruments, they discover things. And at the same time, they are so aware that they don't know yet what it is.
Hmm.
And for them, it's very much to keep the telescope open
Hmm.
and looking what will come.
Hmm.
Because they have that experience that they tried to look for something and then they do not find it. And just by accident, they find something else. And so that's also for me a metaphor for human awareness or human consciousness.
Hmm.
That the most important thing is for me to keep it open and then notice what comes.
Yeah. 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 I
And
love
not
that.
expecting something specific to come
Yeah.
or
Yeah.
but being very careful in the openness and the noticing.
Yes.
And
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I love that. And it reminds me what you were saying a little while ago about dreams. There was something that Gendlin said a long time ago. I think he maybe even says it in the dream book. That until you were talking a few minutes ago, I couldn't quite understand it. Because he said that the dreams come from the larger system.
Hmm.
And it sounds like that's what you're also saying. If you're open to it, that there's a receptivity to something from a much larger system than just your own biography.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And not all your dreams come from
Hmm.
that universal space.
Hmm.
Some of your dreams are more on the psychological level.
Yeah.
The psychological level where uh, things you aren't aware of, and it's important to become aware of it.
Hmm.
And also that's very fascinating that your body keep keeps the memory,
Yes.
even if you don't remember it anymore, or your body keeps the awareness. We would say unconscious.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's already very fascinating about dreams, how they bring that information back.
Hmm.
But these are still dreams that you can understand on a psychological level,
Yes.
or you can understand them on the level of the situations you are in with your historical self.
Hmm. Hmm.
But the dreams from the bigger system, they come from that what Jung calls the collective consciousness,
Yeah.
uh, and that's very difficult to describe. What do we mean by that?
Hmm.
We are not able to describe it, but we are able to experience some fragments of it.
Yeah.
And that's that was there were some dreams that really blow me away about what they brought, because I couldn't understand them from a psychological level.
Yeah. That's interesting. Um, I guess for me, I agree with that distinction. Although for me, I would say that the psychological often bleeds into something more. And I don't know if the larger ones, if I end up receiving them partly because in some subtle way, I need to be the one that receives them or something. I don't know any of that, of course. That's part of the unknown in this. Um, but I'm curious about, I think you wisely are wanting not to go in this direction, but I can't help but ask it, just because it's something that I ask of my own experience, and then I'm never ever satisfied with any answer I get. And that is just this kind. Do you have, let me ask it that way, do you have a current, even kind of open, loose understanding of this sort of essential self? Or, I mean, I'm tempted to almost say of kind of what life is. I'm wondering if that's something that you ever get drawn into, or do you just wisely notice it and not get too pulled into any detail?
Well, I for myself, I experience it is that it is important that we have some keys that give us access to that.
Okay.
And there, for me, important keys are noticing the qualities that everyone can sense
Hmm.
in an environment or in an interaction.
Hmm.
Um, we have the capacity to sense these subtle qualities.
Hmm.
Like everyone can sense if a person is there with a loving attitude towards you,
Hmm.
or is this person there with hating you.
Hmm.
You can immediately sense that quality.
Hmm.
You can't touch it, but so these are the qualities that give you this opening. literally of your body, like, oh, uh, you are in a good atmosphere.
Mhm.
Like you feel there is love, you feel there is joy, you feel there is peace, you feel there is gratitude.
Mhm.
Um, that there is a whole range of qualities that you can also use as keys for yourself to open that broad, broader, or I would say higher frequency
Mhm.
that feels more light and the opposite you can also sense very easily if person attacks you or if a person is like more
Yeah.
this.
Yeah. Yeah.
So this is for me not a theoretical thing about this heavy frequencies and this lighter frequency.
Mhm.
This is for me related to what my body senses and also expresses. Because on a bodily level, you can see on what kind of
Mhm.
energetic range someone lives at that moment or lives in that situation.
Mhm.
So, and there is also for me the key, and that was exactly what I also experienced with my focusing partner. Very often, both of us started the focusing session in that heavy energy of pain and
Yeah. Yeah.
war,
Yeah.
and gradually we we, we always ended up in this light frequency of even the pain disappeared. uh, of course, it came back later on, but uh, that it makes you aware of when you move into that bigger space. Uh, you can experience your body as different,
Mhm.
and so what I try to do is also using that as a key. If I feel very much embarrassed by something or I feel very stuck,
Mhm.
uh, I try to find that key. How can I bring love in this situation? Or how can I bring in more awareness in this situation? Awareness is the metaphor, is light for awareness. But in the physical world, light is you can describe that.
Mhm.
You can't see it because there need to be darkness before you can see there is light. And it's the same with um,
Mhm.
how I try to, I can't say conceptualize it, but to give it some words, handles
Mhm.
that you can enter that world, that you have your
Yeah.
experience of when it is present
Mhm.
and when it's not present.
Yes. Yeah, it sounds almost like you have some handles that help to invite an opening to it.
Yeah. And also that you can create a different
Yeah.
atmosphere
Mhm.
and that
Mhm.
um, I give an example in the book and that was very helpful for me as well. I was sitting on a train and uh, there was a family coming in, or I can't say it was a family, it was a group. It wasn't clear what kind of group people it were, but there was a very aggressive atmosphere. The young men were fighting, and they had a very aggressive expression, and they were shouting,
Mhm.
and my first reaction was I became afraid, and I thought, oh, I quickly changed to another place in the train. But then I saw also there was a girl with them, a girl around I think 6, 7 years old, and she looked very sad and I looked at that girl and I got so touched by that girl that I couldn't leave her alone. My compassion for that girl in that
Mhm.
company became, and I wanted to take care of her.
Mhm.
So I couldn't change my place in the train, and I thought, how can I cope with this aggressive man shouting and fighting? And then I started to send love to these aggressive men. And gradually, the atmosphere changed in the train. Um, they became somewhat nervous. But the atmosphere changed.
Mhm.
They became more quiet. And then before they left it, where they wanted to go, the girl looked at me and she smiled like she wanted to thank me. So this is an example of creation as well.
Mhm.
Um, so
Yeah.
we have access to that power of creating an atmosphere and changing the reality by that.
Yeah. Yeah, that's lovely. Um, we're coming up to time, and I'm aware of how much is in the book that we haven't touched on, of course.
Mm,
One of the things that you mentioned there is process loneliness, which I thought was a lovely way of describing something that I
mm,
think many of us know, that experience of feeling
yes,
not related to, even if you're in a group, even a group of people that you're fond of.
yes, yes,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And I wanted to give it that specific name
Mhm.
because it's different than, for instance, existential loneliness.
Mhm. Mhm.
So I was quite happy with the word when the word came to me.
Mhm.
It was during a therapy session when a client was describing her experience being with her husband and friends and lovely company she had.
Mhm.
And she was uh, explaining her experience. And I said to her, but they didn't make any connection to the process you were in. And then she said, yes, that's it. And then I could hear myself saying, so that was a process loneliness you were in.
Mhm.
I said, yes. So that was when I discovered the word.
Yeah, I really appreciate it. I'm glad you discovered it because it names something that I suspect many people can relate to.
Yeah, yeah. And I was quite searching for myself to find an expression for that experience
Hmm.
because I didn't find a right description for that experience.
Hmm. Yeah.
So, And having found that name for it, you know how that works. When you have a specific handle, then it continues to develop,
Yeah, yeah,
and you continue processing also the word.
yeah, yeah.
That's also why I think it's so difficult to um, use words for this more subtle world, or this universal common ground,
Mm-hmm.
this universal common ground that is so far beyond our personal life.
Yeah.
I think because that is always processing further and further and further. And whatever name you give it, it's always like,
Mm-hmm.
don't know if that
Hmm.
sticks. So, and that's what I value so much in our process thinking, that
Yes.
because that's quite unusual and still difficult to explain to people. We have still difficulties to explain what we mean by process thinking. So,
Yes. But the thing that I think you're naming now is just the importance of keeping things quite metaphoric.
yeah,
Yeah, it's not meant to be an answer.
yes,
It's meant to be a good enough description for now.
yes. And every handle you have is only a temporary
Exactly.
handle.
Yeah, yeah. Okay. Thank you very, very much. I really
Mm.
appreciated this. And the book's called Connecting with Your Essence. And yeah, I'm sure you'll get a lot of feedback on it.
Do you want me to show it? I have it.
Yes,
Mm.
absolutely. Yeah.
This is the English, but
Okay.
you get it in mirror.
Yes. Yeah, I can see it. Yeah, yeah, yeah. A path to awareness and healing.
Yeah,
Yeah. Lovely.
and the Dutch is yeah. This is the Dutch one.
Uh-huh. How do you say it in Dutch?
Verbinden met je essentie.
Okay.
En dan een weg naar bewustwording en heling. So these are the two.
Yeah. Perfect. Wonderful.
And I had a wonderful help in translating the Dutch with Judy Moore
Uh-huh.
as helping me with the translation, because that was quite a huge process as well.
Yes, she would be perfect for that.
Yes, she was perfect for
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
So I'm very grateful she wanted to spend energy on helping me with that process.
Yeah. Lovely. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Greg. Bye.
Bye for now. Bye.